Dam stood in the atrium of his orbital platform. Down below, he could see the sphere of Sparrow and the tether binding the station to the anchor embedded in the planet. His wife was down there, taking care of their little Caroline. He looked over the planet, and then he saw the large greenhouse next to the human barrio. There were a few hundred of his people there, living, farming, selling, trading, and overall being human in this corner of the universe. They didn't care he was a falseman, nor did they care of him leading the projects being conducted on Sparrow. He looked out at the docked Oblivion ship, the Brumus. His friend from his youth was the captain, and yet Olivia wasn't his friend. That was a memory of another life, another entire human. She was Sam's friend, and he kept his distance to not impose on that. Erebus, his personal AI butler, appeared next to him. "Hello, sir." "Hello, Erebus. Is the Posar arriving soon?" "Yes, sir, it is within hailing range and is requesting to dock. Allow it and send Frith to me in my office." "Sir." "Yes, Erebus. You find it odd that you enjoy being up in this station more than you do the ground? It seems odd, quite similar to a certain someone who you are cloned from." Dam nodded. "It's busier down there. Too much going on." Erebus nodded his holographic head. "I can see that, sir. The grazers do keep busy in the farms." Erebus walked over to the window and looked out at the hazy planet. "The terraforming is going well. The atmosphere is near thick enough to support higher life. Algae is already becoming an issue on the purifier inlets." "That is good to hear. Shineless will flip out when she actually gets to run around outside." Dam smiled. "Caroline deserves it." Erebus turned and looked at Dam. "You're doing well here, sir. The planet is returning to life." Dam looked down at his feet, thinking. The hue can't stop them. The genie is out of the bottle. "That is correct, sir. Orbit and the others, myself included, have already detected significant increase in chatter. Numerous factions are trying to reach us and get status updates." "And have you given any?" Erebus shook his head. "No, the acting president signed us to radio silence. His motivation is that we do not want to summon a battalion." Dam took a breath, sighing. "They would too. They would send people here with no hope of them returning, just to strike us." Dam stared at Erebus for a moment. "Our way of life, our freedom here is a threat to them." "I agree, sir, but we are not alone out here. The Cammy is here, and so far she has been proactive with Sam. The transmissions all have her actually helping on Twain." "Any word on the Galak Armada?" "TIA have been tracking several groups. One group patrols the boundary of cloud or space. The Senate is aware of them." Dam nodded with his eyes shut, envisioning what his original self was doing. "Good. They're on top of things. And what of the Poiesis and Cadota?" "Their construction is going as planned, sir. The TARPA team has made significant progress in implementing your ideas. The 2 ships will be great additions to our fleet." Dam paced the room. "We will need more. Sam needs all the help we can give him. Even with Cammy, I doubt we could stand a full assault from the homeworlds." Erebus paced with him. "What more do you think we need, sir? We could send a recruitment call through the datanet to the Clouder allied worlds. They will be mercenaries, but we could staff the ships." Dam looked at the black and white hologram. "The Brumus is operating presently without an AI. Olivia is operating that ship via her crew and basic computer sentience. I want our ships to be staffed fully with your kind. Your handling of the factories and processors on the surface is incredible. Those alien spider boxes and your control of them give us an edge, and we should exploit it fully." Erebus looked up at Dam. "I can copy myself into the Brumus. That is easy to do, sir." Dam shook his head. "No, we need more of those Margot crystals. Send out hails to the freighter pilots. Let them know we will buy any they have. Send a message to the Senate also. See if we can get spies onto those worlds. If we can create them, it would give us the upper hand in any conflict the Hue send our way." "Why, sir? Messages sent out." Dam nodded. "I want you to think up any other advantages we could utilize. I want us to have our pants up out here." Dam walked over to the airlock door and opened it, entering into the hallway. Erebus leapt out from the hollow emitter in the hall and walked with him. "The Posar is docking now, sir. Frith will be heading toward your office within moments." Thank you. Dam turned and walked down the hall past the command room staffed with members of the Sticky and Greenfeet clan and Fuimos. He continued on and into his olive wood office. He sat down at his cloned oak desk and relaxed in his sheepskin chair. Erebus, did Shineless eat a good lunch? Yes, sir. She had a roast beef sandwich with pickles, sir. Good. I think I'll go spend tomorrow with her. Olivia punched in the information into her holodesk. The line opened and rang at the other side. Sam answered. Hey, Sam. Olivia, it's been a few cycles. How are you? What are you up to? Is everything okay? Sam said. Doing good. No sign of the Gallic at Sparrow. How about at Twain? He shook his head. Only rumors and chance sightings. I think Cammy has them pretty scared. She ate quite a few of them. So it's true. We have a rogue mother there? Sam nodded slowly. Yeah, she's got a lot of people here worried. The Homo sapien habitats are quiet, people are on edge. Trade is down in that wing. She looked at her hands. I can imagine. You have a lion living with you. I bet everyone is terrified. The other member species are thrilled, though. They're used to totem and other things out here. So long as something isn't actively devouring their worlds, they seem happy. Her keep the Gallic at arm's length has boosted the markets. Hell, we had 47 freighters come through today. Olivia smiled. Third phase is coming along then? Oh yeah, the outer shell is going up pretty steadily. It's still going to take a long time, though. The amount of ore we need is ridiculous. She nodded. You still selling 1% of the alloy back to those freighter people? The Margot? Yes, they take their cut for hauling it. Firebottom has liberated quite a few clans with the proceeds. It makes me feel kinda good that I'm doing something to help people out here. Sam, you've helped lots of people. You have no idea. Those that came with me on the Posar all had stories. Every one of us wanted to come here. You opened up a new frontier for us. Sam lowered his head. When you think you will come back? She looked at him with side eyes. You sent me on this mission. I gotta go check on Callie. Then I'll come home. I know. The whole thing was my idea. He shook his head. I hope she's okay. We left her and her team alone on that planet of monsters. She could be long eaten for all we know. Olivia nodded slowly in agreement. She was happy to do it, Sam. Hell, for all we know, she has more pets. You know she was kind of a cat lady before joining the Posar crew. Sam laughed. I didn't know that. He let a quiet set in on the call. You really think she is okay? She has your android. You have faith in that robot? Curator? Yeah, she's just a copy of my AI. Heck, she was the one to capture our first cluster of box spiders. She's a survivor, and better than that, she's a maker. Olivia looked over his face and smiled. Frith is meeting with your clone right now. I think they are talking over defense strategies. And after that, I think I will be given the clear to go pick up our archaeology team. Sam smiled back, looking at Olivia. I miss you. I know. I miss you too. Be safe getting them. I'll keep texting you updates from here. She smiled wider, showing some teeth. I will do the same. Thank you for the videos of Miss Mishi. I love that pink cat. There's a lady that runs a new pastry shop in the ring that brought a tomcat. She keeps him in her apartment. I was thinking of seeing if she wanted to breed them. Maybe get us a litter or two. People need cats. It'll help keep vermin down, Olivia said. My thoughts exactly. With the influx of residents, the rabbit rats have become a problem. They've been attacking squishies in the hallway. Orbit can't keep up, even with a designated team of box spiders hunting them. Save me one. Hell, I hope to be home before any are anywhere near born. I like to hear that. Keep me posted, Sam said. I will. I love you, she said and disconnected the call. Olivia walked around her quarters and over to a small porthole overlooking Sparrow. The light of the nearby star shone in, illuminating her as she looked down at the object in her hands. She laughed and shook her head as she looked at the plus sign in the pregnancy tester eyelet. Dam was enjoying a coffee and a plate of chips and dip as Frith got comfortable in the chair across from him. Frith stared at the falseman. It's creepy weird. I gotta keep reminding myself who's who in my conversations. No different than hanging out with twins. Twins are creepier still, You and Sam got a hidden language you use when no one's looking? No. We've had drinks a few times, but nothing like that, Dam said. Exactly. Frith pointed. I think twins are creepier than clones. I don't get what everyone gets in an uproar about. Dam stared at him. The war? Maybe? Yeah, the mother's using clones of their charges for ground assaults. Oh, I've spent a little time talking with Cammy in the hospital. She gave me a diagnostic, not that scary. Dam took a sip of his coffee and set it down. Yeah, not scary until she decimates your world and pulls all your loved ones into her body to never be seen again. Frith laughed and pointed into the air. Again, exactly my point. You and I are sitting here nicely, talking over coffee, but you and I are both warriors. You helped design the Brumoose, and the 2 other ships you have lined up aren't made for peaceful endeavors. We, you and I, humans are monsters, just as much as Cammy and her kind. Dan put his feet up on the desk. I see our point. We all are capable of destruction. We damn her and her kind because they chose to cause havoc against us. Frith shook his head slightly. I don't damn them. I always knew why we warred. We chose to. We decided it was something we wanted to fight for, and she retaliated in kind. Sam and I guess me in so doing didn't decide to fight like that. We were drafted young. We never were fond of the fight. That's why he fixes things. That's why I like designing things. I don't want war. And you think I do? Admiral Frith retorted. I've lost so many close to me. I'm not a fan of it either, but sometimes it has to be done. Agreed. And you are spot on about the ships in development. Dan pulled up a hologram of the 2 ships on his desk. I'm going to have Olivia go and pick up any survivors from the dig. I want to ask you and your crew to help protect this system. Dan looked through the glowing ships at Frith. I want you to work on your officers. Get them up to spec as best you can. We're going to need 2 more captains. These ships will also need a crew trained. I've got a list for you. I want you to take on more apprentices from the member species. Get them trained up. Frith pulled up the file on his arm HUD. There are quite a few lined up. Any of these worth a damn? Some saw battle on Kawaru. A few are transfers from Zar. Most, however, are new. They watched the videos circling the data net around the rim. Shit. There are 6 in the list from species that aren't in the register yet. They arrived here and are in air, SFP, and preserver processing. I'm having Erebus go through their ship's files to see if they are a security risk. Frith scrolled down to the 6 unknowns. They came from out in the rim? Yeah, they're survivors, castaways. They say the Gallic ate their worlds. They've been bouncing from station to station, looking for a place to live for quite a few years. Frith stared at the creatures. Refugees, like the Kawaru. Yes. Frith looked up at Dam. We did good coming here. These people need us. Dam gave Frith a slow nod. Yup, well, I have to agree. My existence and all. But yes, it seems like war and genocide have been a way of life here. All right. I'll get a security detail to interview them after they pass the health screenings. I'll even get some classes going here on station, basic intro stuff and fitness. Dam smiled. I like it. Sounds like we have the starts of an academy then. Frith smiled back. Yes, sir. That we do. The old mother had killed a sea beast and crossed the far ocean riding atop its corpse. She remembered being unable to rest as creatures of the water devoured her raft from below. She had resigned herself to being their meal in turn, when that storm had arisen. It was different than the circular storm that circled the Tower of Fangs. It felt wilder. She had clung on with her claws as the waves threw her back and forth. The flashing loud lines arced into the sea near her, blinding her. Eventually fatigue cascaded through her body, putting her in torpor. She regained her senses upon meeting the first worm. Its chewing in her back muscles caused her to jolt awake. The worm burrowed in, and her arms would not allow her to reach behind her to pull it out. All she had been able to do was make peace with it eating her from the inside. Back then, the old mother was still a princess, the first princess. She hunted and killed small things. The worm in her back draining her strength as it feasted upon her blood. She had to eat non-stop. The shore washed up numerous things of varying flavors, and that helped to keep her belly full. With time, her back worm grew. It developed an outward mouth and fangs, and she expected it to start chewing on the rest of her. When it did eventually reach for her flesh, she was able to reach it. She thought about pulling it out, but it had given her a comfort. She wasn't alone, and rather than aid her own body, she fed the worm. With time, the worm relied more on its outward mouth and the feedings she gave it. She regained her strength and even grew taller. The worm in her back had a semblance of thought and learned to trust her back. She carved tools and fought larger beasts on the jungle's edge. Once a multi-clawed beast crawled out of the jungle behind her, and her worm struck at it, alerting her to the danger. Her worm had become her ally, and the two learned to fight together from that moment on. Now the old mother sat on her throne of terror bones. Her inner manipulators felt their way along the carvings in the ivory and worn bone. She had lost numerous children in the fights that earned her her chair. In the field below, several tribes had already come together, the larger males fighting for the rights to mate with the princesses of other tribes. A large male with 3 backworms had a smaller 2-worm male pinned to the ground. She flashed the colors. "Kill him! Feed on his flesh!" The crowd on the walls flashed in excitation. The larger male clamped his pinching claws around the littler one's throat and squeezed. The old mother felt the giddiness of youth, excited for the promised blood and carnage. Outside the walls, a large thump echoed through the walls of the city. The arena fell silent. Everyone quit flashing. Another thump echoed, and smells of fire and singed flesh was on the wind. The old mother stood up and looked at her guards. She flashed, "Find out what it is. Kill the beast." Guards darted toward away from the central arena and into the city streets. They stopped as colors exploded in the sky. The entire city of the old mother looked up at the fiery color as they traced up from the jungle and exploded. She watched the colors of the explosions. They were a message. "We are here. We have come. Be prepared. Pink, pink, pink." Old mother looked out at the wall. 2 more trees fell down, and she could feel the impact roll through the ground. She got up and walked toward the exit of the arena. Pink led her pack up to the great gates of the city of Old Mother. The curator had launched her explosives into the air to signal their arrival. Pink had loved that. It was the greatest entrance beheld by her people. Next to her were her males, Slayer and his 4 worms at the lead. Behind her walked her Princess Stubborn, her 2 worms prominent on her back. This festival was going to be glorious. Old Mother stood on the wall looking down at her. "What is this? What are those things walking with your pack?" Pink looked back at Curator and the 7 knights around her. She turned her head and looked back up at the old mother. "They are the pack from beyond the dark. The hunt with my pack. We have brought them to introduce them to the families." Old Mother looked them over, eyeing them. She focused on the green-skinned figure in the middle. She motioned to her guards, flashing in secret to them. 10 guard leapt from the walls and charged through Pink's pack. None resisted as they encircled the strangers from the stars. One of the old mother's guards circled the scribblers, eyeing them. It tapped their thin-skinned war rigs with his spear. Their bio-skinned machines rang as the tap reverberated through the metals underneath. The guard looked at the tiny scribbler inside the crystalline helmet. The scribbler glared back. The guard turned his body and flashed at the old mother. "They are small, but they vibrate like weapons." The old mother looked down at Pink. "You wish to attack me and my pack?" Pink flashed negative. "We do not. Their pack wish to meet you. They do not wish for violence with us." Old Mother flashed anger and suspicion. Curator walked through the old mother's guard and approached the head of Pink's pack. "Greetings, old mother." Curator started, and it caught her attention. "We did not come to make war, but rather we wish to trade with your clans. Will you allow us to visit with you? I will gladly accept your armed guard to watch over us if that will make you feel more at ease." Old Mother looked at the new one. "You are a terror, born from the storm. We devour your kind here. You are not welcome." Curator raised her hand and aimed her palm at a tree next to the path they had carved. A hole opened up to the crystal attenuator inside. She unleashed a beam, powered from the cold core deep inside her chest. The venomous tree erupted in fire and smoke. Curator did not lift her eyes from Old Mother. "If we wanted war, we would both lose, and I do not like losing. Do you?" Old Mother eyed the burning tree and then looked over her guards surrounding the small ones in weapons. The small ones had small appendages on their shoulders aiming at her guards. "No, I do not like losing. You said you wanted to trade." Curator looked at Pink. Pink flashed to her guards and Slayer approached a tree on the other side of the path. He flashed. "Power on." His scythe started glowing red and he swiped the tree. It cut through and the tree fell to the side of the newly hewn road. "Power off." Curator looked up at the Old Mother. "My people have made a home on a mountain near Pink. We are learning of your people, and Pink is learning of ours. I think together we can make great things, and I wish to share them with all of your people." Old Mother looked up from Pink's pack and at the path they had carved through the jungle. It was clear all the way to the far hill, and probably beyond it. This new pack did have great power. She looked back down at the new one. "I do wish to trade. Come, join our festival." She turned and disappeared back to the other side of the wall. The guards approached the gate and it knocked. It eased open for them. Old Mother welcomed Pink up to her pedestal overlooking the arena. Stubborn and Curator accompanied them to the top. From the lower stands, numerous pack mothers looked up with anger and jealousy, their flaps betraying their emotions. Old Mother sat on her throne of bones and motioned for the other three to sit around her. Her guards encircled them. The scribblers took seats in the lower stands. Other guards watched them. Old Mother looked at Curator. "My daughters lose guards every festival just making their way here. Did you lose guards?" Curator looked at Pink and then back at Old Mother. "No, we feasted well on the way, and we made a good road for when we go back." Old Mother swayed her head flaps back and forth thinking. She motioned and flashed. "Set up the next fight! I want 20! The guards raised a flag and 20 young men entered the field ready to fight to the death. Curator watched as they raised weapons and started. Old Mother turned back to Curator. "You said you wished for trade. I want roads like the one you made, to all the daughter villages." Curator nodded. "We will gladly accommodate that. What else do you want?" Old Mother turned her head. "What more do I want?" Curator nodded and flashed confirmation. Old Mother looked out at Arena. "The weapon the 4-worm used. I would like those for my pack." Curator nodded. "Deal. What else?" Old Mother looked at her. "What else? No, what am I buying? What is it you think you are getting?" Curator held up her hand and emitted a hologram of the Tower of Fangs. A blue glowing storm circled it. "I have heard legends that you were born from the tower. Is this true?" Old Mother reared her head back, startled. She then slowly eased her head closer to get a better look. "That is it. What sorcery do you have?" She ran her claw through the image, causing it to flicker. Curator laughed. "It is just an image, like the carvings on your throne. It is merely a way to tell story. You came from there?" Old Mother waved her head flaps. "Yes, I remember the fall from it. It was long ago, before any of the daughters were born. There were 10 of us. Only I made it to the sea." Old Mother looked up at Curator. "What is it you want, Curator?" Curator lowered her hand. "I wish for the help from the packs. I want to go to the tower and find out its secrets. We will trade you whatever tools you want or need." Pink flashed attention. Old Mother looked at her. Pink spoke up with flashes. "These ones from beyond the stars do much more than burn trees and make colors in the air." Pink looked at her daughter. "My daughter survived a flyer bite. She was weak, feeble. She could barely keep 1 worm alive." Old Mother looked at Stubborn and her 2 healthy worms. "She looks healthy to me." Pink waved her flaps. "Yes, this one healed her." Pink leaned over to Curator and picked up her hand. "This one was made of stone. Our air was rotting her. She grew new flesh to live on our world. They have magics beyond anything I have imagined." Old Mother leaned out of her chair and touched Curator's forehead. "This is not your skin?" Curator smiled. "No, it is not my skin, nor is this really even my body." Pink was taken aback from that, as was Old Mother. Stubborn flashed humor. "My pardons for speaking, Old Mother." Old Mother looked at the princess. "You may speak, young one." "Old Mother, this Curator was born a tool of light and thought by another race. She made this body, and then this skin just so she can walk among us. Her makers can do incredible things. They walk the dark beyond the sky. I have seen their stories. They have weapons that can destroy mountains in a moment. Old Mother looked at Curator. Why did none of your makers come then? They are watching through my eyes, Curator said. They cannot flash as I can. Their bodies cannot adapt as quickly as mine can. More important, though, I am their guard. I keep them safe. Old Mother looked at her most trusted guard and then back at Curator. You are their daughter. Old Mother pointed her claw at the knights in the stands. And them? Are they the makers? Curator shook her head and flashed negative. They are from another world just as you are from this world. They make different things, but they did not make me. They are friends of my makers. They have made an alliance, just as I proposed to make with your people. Old Mother thought for a moment. She flashed happiness. I like to kill terrors. I like to sit on their bones. The largest terrors live back across the sea. I have always wanted to hunt them, but until now, I have never had a large enough pack. Old Mother looked out over the arena. She stood up and flashed large for all her people to see her colors. Stop fighting! The warriors in the pit stopped. She raised her claws high. Daughters, save your guards. You will need them. We start the hunt early. Prepare yourselves. The arena erupted in a jubilee of color flashes. Old Mother sat back down and looked at Curator. Tell me, daughter of makers, what did I just do? Curator smiled. You just made some powerful friends.